Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
And I'm Chet.
And welcome, Angel Barnett.
I'm so excited to be here.
You are saving women and children. You're our hero.
Part of the Dream Institute. Do you want to tell us a little bit how you got involved with it?
Right. Well, the origin of the Dream Institute started with my father-in-law's vision, starting the Los Angeles Dream Center.
Okay.
So that's the Queen of Angels Hospital. It houses over 800 people coming out of rehabilitation through drug addiction or other snares that people get into. So that's the LA Dream Center. And then we started the Phoenix Dream Center on 32nd Avenue in Grand. So they also take in people off the street, rehabilitation, re-entry into
Is it just women and children or?
No, they have men there as well.
Okay, good.
But then the Phoenix Dream Center under Brian Steele's leadership really started to thrive in all things anti-trafficking.
I love
And they started to develop, respect from frontline officers, FBI, Homeland Security, and we're able to have facial recognition cameras and bring in victims of trafficking and having that safe housing, and then just rebuilding lives. Once you feel safe, then you get to decompress. Then you get to start thinking, dreaming, feeling again. And then we start thinking about what educational benchmarks are you missing? And then higher level education, job skill training. And as much as we love the universities, it's a 4-year approach, and really that does not work for women needing to get back on their feet and stop going to the things that are paying your bills quickly.
They need to make money.
They need to make money. So instead of hitting the streets again, let's get a 6
Skills.
to 9 month skill trade. And let's level up their pay because women have children. So then that's where the Phoenix Dream Center just started to thrive. And
Where's it located?
At 32nd Avenue in Grand.
Okay.
Phenomenal services. Over 300 beds for housing and recovery, education, and reintegration.
So is the mother with her kids all in one room?
Yes.
That's nice. They're together.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Pregnant women are allowed to come in. So then this really unique story happened. You might remember on the border of Utah, Arizona, the Warren Jeffs story. Colorado
we actually
City.
had
Mike
Watkis who broke that story.
He was the.
Yeah, we interviewed
Do you know him?
I do know him.
He's a
We'll have to do a future
For
show with him.
some reason, he wouldn't talk to me. I don't know why. I think Cheryl tried to connect us, and he goes, "Oh, I know who you are," and I don't want to talk to you. I don't know why.
Well, let's do a future show with him because he's been on like 3 times.
Stop it.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
So you must not like the other version of me, whatever that is. I don't know, but anyway.
Let's get him on together.
Confusing because he loves to basically ally with charities like this. So
Well,
really
but I'm also a pastor's wife, and he doesn't like pastor's wife, so I'll give him that.
I'm sure he likes you. So he was probably busy.
We'll
He
give him a
seems
second
busy.
chance.
My assistant called him, and finally we got him on.
Okay, so it's a personality thing.
So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So the Colorado City, the stories, and thank him for what he did to break and the government raids and the things that went not so good, even on Arizona, right? You think you're going to swoop in there, take one child out of the arms of some mother and give it, and what do? You have just now got a hornet's nest flying. So Arizona put on the blinders, and really just they don't exist, right? It's right on the border of Utah, Arizona. 14,000 people under the control, socialistic dictatorship of one man.
That's crazy.
You take
That's
a
so
person
crazy.
out of that, and the socioeconomic structure also implodes. Well, here's the story. Brielle Decker tried to escape 10 times from other compounds as these families are traded and sent to different compounds either through threat or promotion.
I had no idea it was that large of a settlement. 14,000 people?
Yes.
Holy crap. I thought it was
That
like a
is
couple
an
hundred or
entire-
something.
and-
That's
and-
insane.
Wow.
That's like a
They're
city.
productive, they're smart, they're hardworking. So on the economic scale, if you try to go outbid them, you're not, because it's labor trafficking. Everyone's working for free for one man. So they are good at what they do. They can put cabinets and all the trades. You can't beat them. You can't outwork them.
Wow.
So it was an empire to be able to build other compounds around the nation. It was for one man, right? That's such an abuse.
So how did he have the money to
on
do
their
all this.
labor trafficking, on the backs of everyone, including the children, shutting down education and school. They work from sun up to sundown. The children
Wow.
picking in the pecan fields. All of this is on the documentaries, and this is history, right? So Brielle Decker, being the 65th wife of Warren Jeffs, escaped finally from Colorado City.
How old was she?
I don't know that exact, so I don't want to. She was probably promised to him at 18. Many of the other wives were younger, and he had 400 of them transferred down to El Dorado for wife training, taking them away from Colorado City moms and then sending them down to El Dorado. Good on Texas and the FBI. They got the deal done, right? Good on them.
Well, and it's one of those cases that makes you really believe in investigative journalists, because who knows if that would have been broken.
Oh my God.
If that ever would have been broken
There's
without
the
Mike
good.
Watkis.
There's the good that can be done.
That's correct.
Thank you for the
Mike Watkis,
tenacity.
we love you.
We need
in the
more journalists like
background.
that who are digging.
Absolutely.
And we have to do a future show
sometimes-
and unite you and Mike
I love
Watkis.
it.
Because
Okay,
sometimes
good.
the cops and like authorities are limited by like lack of evidence and stuff, but those stories can potentially bring up more witnesses that'll give them evidence to create a case.
And that is happening.
Mm.
Even the people from the community are now speaking up. That's exciting. So Brielle Decker, long story short, she escapes. She's awarded Warren Jeffs' house. That's a 29,000 square foot.
She's 65th wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She escapes. There's a like 4-year period of time here. If I'm on or off, I'm not sure. But Warren Jeffs apprehended. He's in federal prison in Texas. She's awarded his compound. She's still struggling. And
So why was she the one that was awarded the house?
Well, because someone said to her, "You're a wife. Why don't you apply?" As simple as, we don't know what we don't know. And she was bold enough to go ask. And she is innately a fighter. Strong. She has phenomenal TED Talk. I would encourage you to listen to her and her story and keep
Let's get her on the show. Do you know her?
100%. She works for our Dream Center, because that's the beauty.
Oh, let's get her
Those
on.
that are coming out of it, they see themselves in her. They should see less of us, and they should see more of them on the other side of being strong. That's what's beautiful. So Brielle Decker is told about the Phoenix Dream Center. She's still struggling. She comes to the Phoenix Dream Center and she sees a place that she cannot believe exists. All free, all the services, a safe place of loving people, education, hopes and dreams being birthed again. That is what the Dream Center does. And she said, "Will you take the keys to my house?"
Really?
Literally, we're like, "Well, what's your house?" And it's just a long we
have the time. We want to hear it.
We went to Brian Steele went to the Mormon bishops in Salt Lake City. We wanted to make sure we were not going somewhere where we were not welcome. And he asked them, "Are you aware of who the Dream Center is?" And they actually were aware of the Dream Center. And they said, "We have no problem with you. If you want to pursue being in Colorado City, we're not going to push back against you." So we knew we were welcome enough. Obviously, we're outsiders, but Brielle's not. But she invited the Dream Center into the town and to take ownership over his house. I mean, that's a pillar of what once was. And
It's turning something that was basically evil and turning it into something good.
100%.
It's awesome. So is
Wow.
the Dream Center still operating out of that compound then? Or?
Yes, we are almost
That's
6
awesome.
years old, 5.5
Wow.
years old.
I've never heard of this. It's incredible.
Well, we're so busy doing what we do, head to the plow, that we don't really promote ourselves. We're really not great at telling our own story, even though the story of recovery
Wow.
and resilience is extraordinary. So when Brielle gave over the house to the Dream Center accepts. My husband and I, Luke, were invited to go up and meet these beautiful people who were so loving and brave to share their story and sit there and say, "This is my wife and this is my other sister wife, and I was not going to give up my 9-year-old daughter, and this is when I left the religion, and I was done." Their business is taken away from them. Their salvation, they think, is being taken away from them. All the reasons to stay in an infrastructure that supports your business, your family, and you don't know how to exit. For them to be willing to do this is brave. Brielle Decker is brave. And for us to say no, who are we to say no? When someone's reaching out to ask for help, Of course, we should say yes. So we will do all we can. We've remodeled the place.
How many acres or how many?
It's 10-acre compound.
Wow.
So then it's
29,000.
in Arizona and Colorado then. So
Actually, it's called Colorado City. Doesn't make sense because it's on the
Mm.
Arizona,
but it's in Utah. But it's in Utah.
So
Okay.
his house, Brielle Decker's house, is in Utah, and then literally a few steps, half a mile, is Arizona.
Okay,
That
cool.
was used on
Hmm.
purpose to evade both state laws.
Mhm.
That was strategically put there.
By who?
Interesting.
Warren Jeffs. Well, way
Oh.
before him. That goes back
Okay.
into deep history to escape the polygamy being illegal from Salt Lake City, and then let's go plant in a place where everyone will leave us alone.
In the middle of nowhere,
It's that
basically.
difficult
Yeah.
to get to. Exactly.
Really?
He's got his own airport, and
Seriously?
oh yeah, no, it's high tech. Everything is monitored, video cameras. It was a high tech run church organization. But
Wait.
So since that's so off the beaten path, then do you basically have people that find the Dream Center in Phoenix and then they go up there like for their rehab purposes then? Or
It's
how does
very-
that work?
It's very purposeful in who is
Mhm.
there. We are there for the community first of all. So I'd say 80% of all those are women who are just like Brielle Decker.
Hmm.
And Brielle Decker is kind of their pillar of strength, and they get to come through safe housing counseling, equine therapy, education, job skill training. We help them get cars awarded, some of the ladies who need it. So this is at no expense to them, and this is just a reintegration and support program. We have women
Wow.
coming all from Oregon and Texas and all over the country, because in essence, there's different kinds of human trafficking. This is familial and religious and labor. So anything that a person does not have a say so, you can categorize that as trafficking. But
Well, what is the definition of trafficking?
anything that a person does not have a choice,
It's basically a
Coercion?
modern day word for slavery.
100%.
really?
You're right.
Oh
You're
yeah.
right.
Well, the interesting thing is that
Yeah.
Smart.
people say that Arizona is the worst state in the country for it. Like I heard that they have like the worst, the most people that are kidnapped for it.
Nevada is top of the list. We're high. We're a border state. But Nevada is certainly at the top, and that would be obvious because of Vegas. But it's an economic demand. You can sell a person 13 times a night. You can sell a drug once. This is why
Wow.
trafficking will not stop.
Well, and like you were talking about, how it's also still for labor, because there was that big case. It was out of like Mississippi or Alabama where they found that there was like literal people being forced to work on farms down there, like a couple dozen people.
Seattle as well.
So it's happening like all over the country
Right.
in different forms.
So talking about it is the first step, because we all are busy living lives
It's
and
a
doing
huge
what
step.
we do, right?
You're
So
right.
now we're talking about it. We understand that trafficking has 21 different branches of trafficking. Okay, so now families being traded, trafficking right on your phone in your backyard. This is something we need to talk about. When your kid goes to school and a very popular boy is planted there to invite a not so popular girl to a party, she gets drugged, pictures taken. They know she has a younger brother and a sister, and they know the names. And when she wakes up, they show her the pictures. She will, this is a true story right out of Desert Ridge, traffic
Wow.
herself right out of her window of a very nice suburban community to make sure she protects her family. So there's all different versions of
So hold
trafficking.
on. So they take pictures of her and blackmail her,
Yes.
and then she'll do stuff.
To protect, we're going to go out, we're going to kill your brother and sister. We know their names, and this is intel and then used against them. That's just one minute form of the.
And that happens right here in
It's an
Arizona.
economic demand. And drugs go one and they're gone. You got to ship them. The human trafficking thing has taken the tip of the spear, but it takes so many different forms.
Wow.
But where we are allowed to be, we tell the past, and the documentaries has told the past, but we know their past and how heavy it was to show how resilient and incredible they are. The town and community is exploding with economics, free thinking, education. It is no longer a place of the past where they're mocked and shown their story without being respected, because the town is just exploding for all the right reasons, and we want to make sure that we are the wind in their sails, and we're here to help you. But you guys have got this. Living off the government and food stamps, well, they're starting to get educated, and jobs and economy is booming, and so that's the hope of true resilience with the human spirit. It's not to fly in and tell their story. I'd like to know where Dr. Phil, Oprah, and Megyn Kelly are, because quite frankly, everyone flew in, told their story, and did anyone go back and truly try to help? Maybe they didn't know how. But I don't want to be that judgmental, but what are we doing now? We told their story, but there's no resources and help. That's not right.
So is the Dream Center solely focused on helping people that were victims of trafficking, or people who were just, down and out on their luck and just only had like an addiction problem but weren't trafficked? Are they still somebody who'd go to the Dream Center for
Phoenix
help?
Dream Center,
Good
a variety of all people.
Okay.
Yes, we
So it's
have
not
a rescue
solely trafficking,
unit.
it's kind of open to
It's
anybody who
open.
needs help.
Absolutely.
That's
we
awesome.
have a floor and a unit for trafficking, because they also have cars that will go out on emergency response, find people in the middle of the summer underneath a bridge, and be able to give them water, resources, housing. Let's work with the social services here in Phoenix, Arizona, and get them up on their feet and detoxed, or whatever it's going to take. It takes all of the social services, those that help detox medically. We're not licensed for that medical detox, but we have a clinic on property. So you want to utilize all the services and talents that come wrap around all the services it takes to help one person.
So it's any kind of abuse.
Any kind of abuse. Now, the Dream Institute, birthed out of the Phoenix Dream Center, is where families heal together. Mom and children are not separated, because a lot of places are not licensed to be able to keep the families together. We're really excited about that, because if you walk in the doors of our Dream Center, you are going to feel like you're home.
Great.
You're going to smell lunch or dinner cooking, and the kids in the morning are running to go get their lunch pails because they're late for school, and mom's going to work, and our vans are going to take them there. It simulates family, home, community, neighborhood, and simulation of real life.
Yes.
And it's not as clinical. And so we love that we have a home vibe, a home atmosphere. Families heal together. Some are at risk of trafficking, some have been, and then some have come from the unique organization that we serve from Colorado City and surrounding areas. It doesn't matter. They're just people, and it's everyone can be resilient and recover and have an incredible story. And what makes it most powerful is those that are leading the Dream Institute in Colorado City have their own stories. They have come from the Phoenix Dream Center. They have built their life back. They have built incredible programs, and now they're in a place that is such home to them. We've been invited, we've been included, we're trusted, and we will not break that trust. So that is important to us, because it's their home.
So you have stories of, do you have somebody you could bring back on that has been saved by your program?
Oh yeah, half of our staff are graduates of the program.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And they're learning program management skills.
So great.
And not official counseling, but they're advising, because I was in your shoes, and here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about your next steps. Here's what you've accomplished, and those are management skills. And CNA. Some of our women go into CNA programs. There's a study that is released from ASU, jobs that are best for traffic victims. Some victims do not need or want the social interaction, and some want to have like a cosmetology approach, because it's skill-based and they can build upon, and it builds their confidence. So we want to explore and find what they're passionate about. How can we build the bridge for you to just thrive? That's why we get up in the morning.
I love that.
It's just, we all work hard and we all have lives, but there's nothing more life-giving than being able to serve other people.
And helping others. Making a difference. That's what you guys are doing.
My girls are raised, they're out of the house, and I came in a period in time in life where I had time. And I was like actually almost getting kind of nervous and depressed about it. Like, what now? All the best years are behind. But I'm telling you, you're positioned to do something more incredible. You have time, you've raised families, you've developed skill sets. I didn't have an education that would have validated me doing what I'm doing. And that is where pulling other people around you who do have the skill sets, risk, legal, accounting, educators, pilots, business people, corporations, so that you run your nonprofit with integrity. We're managing people's donated dollars. We had better be so integrous. And that is our goal. Serve people well and keep people's trust, because you're doing a good job.
And your daughters are also following in your footsteps?
They are, in a way, they work at the church. The church is separate from the nonprofit.
Okay.
Right? And so the girls, my daughters, Aubrey and Annalie, work at the church. They're passionate about serving people in a different way. And just being an example and being the age they are and raising families and speaking into people's lives and doing a good job.
I love it.
So I'm proud of them. Yeah, they're solid and they're good, which allows me to really branch out. I also have 2 homes in Show Low for women that are pregnant.
Oh,
So it's under
wow.
the Dream Institute umbrella. So we have women that are pregnant and have children. For example, one of the ladies ran to us, her sister called us, and she said, my sister's really being abused for years and years. The little 4-year-old boy that she has is being traumatized and bit and even held underwater, has never had a birthday party, all of these things. Under gunpoint, she made a run for it. She found us, and we are able to just decompress the trauma, number one. You have a home, you have a family, you're not alone. This is where we start, right? To be able to throw a birthday party for a little boy who's never had a present or balloon, look at the privilege in which we get to live the firsts. That is a privilege. And now our moms are working, they're going to school, they're lifting up their education opportunities, and their children are getting into school and starting to thrive, and they see each other as a family. And that's the beauty of they're pregnant, so they're rushed to the hospital at 2 a.m, and we've had open adoptions, and we've had moms who've lost their baby. The cord was wrapped around the neck, and they start again, and they're not alone. When they hit bottom, you're not alone. And I think that's where church communities come in, because they are the family that stands in the gap, the family that does not exist, the support system that these people do not have. Why they are in the situation they're in is the lack of support community. That is the power of the church.
Well, that's why I'm really excited that we have you here today, because I believe in God, I believe in helping others, and we're here saving the planet
One show at a time.
And every show where I get to meet somebody, you are doing so much. Your whole family is. It's just incredible. Like I just want to sit back and listen.
Oh, well, thanks for letting me share. It's a privilege.
It's incredible.
Well, one thing people always think that, I've never seen trafficking. Like, how could it be that prevalent? But the Epstein and then the Diddy cases are showing how prevalent it really is. Like, because there were tons of these high-profile celebrities that were all taking part in this horrible, evil stuff. And it's like,
that's a good point. That's a great point.
Well, yeah, and it's people that are just like at a normal wealth level that aren't at that top percent have just been in normal parties. We've never seen anything like that. We wouldn't expect it to even exist.
True.
But it's crazy that it obviously is really
forced.
Prevalent. Yeah, because that's one of the things that Diddy was arrested on, was trafficking sex workers over borders, like without their will or something. So it's just when people think like, this isn't happening anywhere other than Vegas. Like, no, obviously it is. There's 2 massive cases.
High-end trafficking
yeah.
there,
And both of them
true.
almost got swept under the rug. So like, who knows how many of those type of cases do get swept under the rug. It's really freaky to think about.
But it's so weird to find
people
out
that have
that this went on for
information or
so
intel
long.
like we were talking
You're
about.
right, because apparently she was putting up with that for like 10 years or something.
And then tons of celebrities were like known to be partaking in these parties where they knew there were sex workers working at them. It's like weird that there's not like a bigger basically outcry to cancel those celebrities who are partaking.
Here's the tricky part, getting the girls to go ahead and go and stand in court.
Yeah.
And they will get berated.
And he's made literal threats, like mob boss threats about like blowing up people's cars and stuff like that. Like there's like actual intimidation factor with Diddy. So hopefully he gets locked up for a long time so that he won't be able to
that will set the precedent. So
Arizona
I hope.
has done a really good thing lately. They, well, about 2 years ago, FBI raided or was able to apprehend Samuel Bateman taking 7 girls in a horse trailer. People saw their fingers sticking out of the horse trailer. They got him in Flagstaff. Okay, so he the girls, we were able to help a few of them along with many other social service organization, everywhere from 7 to 16. And so we were able to be a part of providing services and providing support along with other organizations. And then some of the girls were in CPS as well. And so long story short, he admitted they have him for 50 years, Samuel Bateman for 50 years.
Let him rot.
And he admitted to over 20 wives, 10 of them under age of 9, and that's the way he would transport them in a horse trailer for sexual favors around the country. He was heading to Mesa.
Right? Wait, what do you mean sexual favors around
somebody
the country?
Like that should get 500.
He let other people
like cattle.
Stop it.
How does somebody like that not get 500 years?
This is familial trafficking. Well, right. And
Somebody
is
like
it
that
life? Is it the loophole? Is it life? Or is it, you know, because they say life, but then they get out, and that's a whole nother education.
It should be triple life or whatever.
But here's also what they did. The man who funded some of the activity, and this is all on, I think AZ Central covered this well. They videoed, and he also funded this gentleman, is getting 35 years. The father that turned over the children to the prophet is getting 25. So what's happening in increments is everyone think twice, okay? Nefarious. So those of you who are thinking this way, there's going to be, and that needs to happen. We need the girls to be brave enough, and we need to have their backs, get in court, stand up against, put them away, because there needs to be a consequence and less of a financial gain and more of a consequence to offset the financial gain, to slow the roll.
Well, it's so frustrating that here for the war on drugs, they were able to make these crazy mandatory minimum sentences where people were spending 20 years in jail for being arrested with a joint. Somebody who literally sold his own kids into slavery is only getting 25 years. Like, it's crazy that there aren't laws to make these sentences way longer to try to intimidate people. Because 25 years for doing something that evil, like, it's crazy to think there's somebody out there that's still in prison for like smoking a joint, and he's serving the same sentence as somebody who sold their children into slavery. Like, are you kidding me?
I think somebody that does that to their child or to
it should be a life sentence. It should immediate be life sentence. It
should be no, what do you call it? The death sentence. That's what I think. I think that's worth. I think that's even worse than killing somebody, because you're taking that child and you're robbing them. Basically,
you're causing suffering and trauma for a long period of time.
I think it should be.
Oh, they'll deal with it forever.
Yeah.
Even though they're rescued and recovered, mentally, this is a lifelong battle.
Exactly, it's a lifelong torment, suffering.
Even those that have mental delay, there are families that will bankroll. There's people predators online that will look for that opportunity. They will sell off their daughter so that they will bankroll the family's need. This happens all the time. So when I say there's so many versions, everyone's story is different. The Phoenix Dream Center was able to rescue a young girl, as they do have underage housing. Very expensive and very complicated to serve the minors without the mothers, which is the most vulnerable population. But the state, the red tape, and the garbage makes it almost impossible to serve them. So a mom was getting whatever heroin or she was on in her car, living in her car, and she, I think it was a 6-year-old daughter, if I'm correct. And the pimps would come and they're like, you know, pay for, be with my daughter, and then I will, you know, get my fix, right? So this mother, not in her right mind, is selling her daughter. Men would come to the car, and they're like, you would get a lot more money if you start taking pictures. So this is how
exploitation happens.
Yes, absolutely. And we just fall into the pit.
Well, it's so great that you are stopping it, and your whole organization is healing and saving and you know, repurposing everything that they're going through.
There needs to be more housing. Without the state and the program red tape that allows us to not do a good job, because if you take any federal funding, it's just so constrictive. And that's why a lot of people don't do housing. So we really are not able to expand services. We're going to, but on a large scale, we should be really allowed to spread our wings. And it's just
So how do you do the
complicated.
fundraising? I know you mentioned some golf tournaments.
Yes, I do golf
Golf.
tournaments, and just the generosity.
When do you do that?
February, I have one, and I have one in September in Show Low. And then
February.
we're gonna,
Where's one in February?
the Biltmore. Yeah.
Okay, February,
it's
Biltmore.
great, and those are just wonderful business men and women that are sponsor a hole, and the golfers that play golf. And what I love about it is it's just so relational. I love connecting people in their businesses. I love it when a hotel builder meets someone. They're like, oh, why don't you sell your product in my hotel? It's just so fun to see people collaborate, but they're coming together for this cause. And so I love the 5 hours that it takes to do a golf tournament. Relationships are built. It's substantial. If you don't do a gala or an event well in this town, then you better not do one, because they're done really well. And you can't dip your toe in that water. So I'm not touching that with a 10-foot
No, I
pole.
actually think golfing is a better idea, because like you said, you get people, if you're at a gala, you're listening to people talk pretty much. But at something like this, you're networking.
Building, you're networking.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Absolutely. So we're hoping to do one in Minnesota, because we have a Tradition Bank. They're new here to Arizona, Scottsdale. They have a office in Kierland, and they are very philanthropic in giving, and they're based in Minnesota, so they're getting behind the Dream Institute. So Dunnett Golf Family, they're based in Minnesota, and they're very giving. So that like, let's do a golf tournament there and meet new people and the mortgage company people, and it's fun.
So when's the one in Minnesota?
Probably next summer. So that's just, it hasn't even got off the ground yet. But we do well with just the generosity of churches. Some of the most giving people are church communities, because
And it's Christian based.
yes.
Okay.
Now Dream Institute is a non-religious nonprofit, but yes, Christian churches absolutely are our 90% funding stream. Those are Christ-centered, God-fearing, loving people, giving, and so are the businesses. But it takes a little bit more to make that happen. So without the churches around the nation, we wouldn't be on our feet. It's very, very important what they've done, and we're building more relationships with companies, and there's a wealth transfer happening right now in this nation, and so sometimes people are looking where to give. So we do have an endowment. We're starting that. We want to have a future plan. Not just a hand-to-mouth approach, but what are we doing for sustainability, for legacy giving? So the Dream Institute has also set up a legacy giving opportunity. I just feel like universities do it. Why on earth are we not in that arena? There's families that are looking for solid places that have a future plan, and I think an endowment says you have had a lot of thought to your future in a financial way.
What about doing one of the, a gala or some kind of an, event at the, I can't think of her name, Beale? Jeffrey's.
At
Jeffrey's
the,
65th
it's very,
life?
yes, it's very hard to get to Colorado City.
Oh, okay.
Now we did do a beautiful concert about 3 years ago.
What was her name again?
Brielle Decker.
Brielle Decker.
Yes,
Okay.
and we flew people into Las Vegas, and we had to rent big buses, and then we went up there and we threw a huge concert.
Oh, nice.
Called Night of a Million Dreams for the community. And
That's a great idea, a music festival.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I mean,
That's
awesome.
cost $100,000, because we had William Joseph, an incredible concert pianist, and we had a choir and dancers and like a Josh Groban style singer named Jeff May, and
That's awesome.
And so
That is
the
awesome.
people, we had
That's cool.
fireworks going off, and
Wow.
and people were like, why are you here doing this for our community? And we would say to them, because you matter, and there's hope for your future. They don't understand the kindness, and that is our joy to get to offer that. So we did that for 2 years in a row,
But they don't really like it?
they love it.
Okay.
But what we also started to see is when you hand feed someone an idea, they're like, well, when's the next year? Well, I'll bring my popcorn. we also thought, let's let them get creative.
Yeah, let them
And
throw their own
they
event. Yeah.
have.
That's
So
awesome.
we don't want
Really?
to, you almost want to put the spark and let the idea go, but
Yeah.
then step back. It's not the us show. The first couple years was, let us come share what we're doing, but let's give a gift. But let's let them spread their wings. They don't need us. They have got creativity and energy. We're just here to come alongside of them, serve in the community. It doesn't need to be the us show for sure at all.
So they are.
They are.
They're
They
performing now. They're funding their own fundraisers.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
cool. So
Yes.
how many former Jeffrey's wives are there living and partaking in all these events?
Well, they're spread around, but we've had quite a few come through the program, or even just come take a tour. Hey, we used to live here, or what's going on here, and there's interesting things that we will showcase. As you're taking, a tour of the house, we'll open up this technology room where all the black fiber are being run, and all that was illegal, and it was all to tap in and to listen.
Interesting.
And one of the...
Wait a minute, you're saying that every room has a listening device?
In that house, yes, but even throughout the community, so that on a Sunday, Warren Jeffs could have Jenny stand up and say, you're planning on running away today at 2:00 with Jimmy. And because God told me, and I'm the prophet, and she'd be like, yes, you are, because that was exactly right. Well, they were listening. This is high-tech espionage.
Manipulation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's mental manipulation.
Wait, outside of his own home, he was listening to everybody else's
It's
homes?
a town of 14,000 people. This is not a democracy. This was this was his town and his people. So the opportunity for her to go, this was all a lie, and to have that's a sickening feeling for someone to understand what was done to them. How do you reboot? But let me tell you, they're resilient, they're strong, they're intelligent, they're recovering, and we get to walk alongside of them. It's a privilege. And for anyone else who runs into a time of snare in life, we could all be snared. We're all few decisions from getting snared into a situation we cannot get ourselves out of.
That's true.
That is what
true.
a dream center does. It doesn't matter who you are or what. I don't care if you're a millionaire. You could lose it tomorrow, be on the street, and you're going to need a dream center. There's just not enough of us to go around. There needs to be more.
It's true.
The state should be leaning on us, not impeding the restrictions. So that's what's frustrating, because we know what we do. The success rate is 86 to 92%. A year and a half after graduation, still working, stabilized in society. Should tell me what other government-run organization has that kind of success rate. I don't think so.
Zero.
Thank you.
Zilch.
Katie Hobbs.
So what do you think? What do you think the long-term, super long-term solution to trafficking is? Do you think it is
Good question.
resources being distributed more evenly? Like, if there's less poverty, there'll be less chance for exploitation? Do you think it's education? Do you think if all those people, even if they had less resources, if they were educated enough, they would be able to say no to exploitation? Like, what do you think the longest term or the long-term solution is to actually fix it? Because it's something that has plagued my brain before, thinking about it, because it's a super sad and dark fact of humanity, but slavery has basically been one of one of our first inventions.
That's right.
But what is going to be the thing that's going to finally allow us to get rid of it?
Well, we have favorable winds right now. We have an opportunity on a national level to move the ball down the field, move the needle. There are groups like incredible people. So I'll start with 5 pillars. We need the church communities to stand in the gap. There's a lot of talent and resources that can fill and come around a graduate and a survivor, okay? So I'll put the church at the tip of the spear. Then you've got an awearness campaign. The tentacles of that are very deep, okay? It's what we're doing here today. Yes. It is commercials, it's movies, it's Tim Tebow's technology. He's really on the cutting edge of the Clapham event and all that they're doing for facial recognition and getting into what's going on in the hotels. So those intelligent people that are able to put their technology skills to work to combat trafficking. Okay, so that bundles in the awareness initiative. Then you've got those that prosecute, the lawyers that are willing to use them as an example. Let's make it smear what's going to happen to you on TV, in the newspaper, social media. Make an example. That will make people think twice. It is natural human nature.
Well, that's the part that was so disturbing.
But
that's the part that's disturbing, that they didn't release all the names from the Epstein case. All that stuff got fucking put on the shelf.
That probably goes deeper than we realize.
Oh yeah, it probably incriminates so many government officials. They thought it would just basically topple everything.
Exactly what I was trying not to say, but you said thank you.
Yeah.
So like amazing people, Peter Pavlos and his beautiful daughter. These are attorneys that have just made an incredible career, but are dedicating their services to representing our girls that are willing to stand up in court and get them paid back, right? So that is the litigation. Then you've got the extraction team. That's self-explanatory. Those talented people who are extracting Homeland Security, FBI, frontline officers, those ex-military that do what they do. We'll never have their skills, and we're helpless without them. Okay, so that they extract. But when you extract, what do you extract to? If you don't have housing, and that's the fifth pillar.
That's so important.
Safe housing is really critical too, because we're assessing and letting it decompress. Are they ready for a program? Are they actually ready to be helped? Because not everyone is. Safe housing is important. Long-term, comprehensive, trauma-informed housing is critical. So that is what's lacking across the nation. So here, I'm starting to, people like Jaco Booyan, who are helping rewrite executive orders on a national level. Trump signed 4 years ago, our children are not for sale. Biden rescinded that. Oh, so our children are for sale? Oh, okay. That's nice to know. Everyone should maybe know that. So we will get this reenacted. Our children are not for sale. It's ABCs, step number one. So executive orders, those that are technology driven, those that can prosecute, those of us that have housing. What we're doing right now is finding each other across the nation. If we could get all 5 pillars in all 50 states shored up, then we have collaboration, communication, and we stop living on our own singular islands. This is the way for a neighbor to go, not in my city, not on my street, and not in my house, because everyone is aware. So this is how it cannot be siloed. It has to be every state.
But what do you mean, not in my city, not in my house?
Okay, so if you were aware and you're a part of this campaign in Arizona, we have a campaign that says not in my streets, not in my city, not in my town. It means that you see something, you say something.
Of course.
Right? So this is all of us being engaged.
Yes.
So if South Dakota has great awareness and prosecution, but they're lacking in housing and the church communities coming around the victims, then let's shore up what's lacking and let's put a stamp on, okay, South Dakota, here are our services that are there. That all of South Dakota needs to know that if you need extraction, here's the group. If you need technology input, if you need to talk to, so every state that is shored up on long-term housing, short-term housing, and the lawyers that would come around, then every state understands, take care of your own community. And the reason why we do everything internationally, it's cheaper and there's less restrictions. Let's take care of our homeland. It's time to make our ground the example so that we can be strong again to go back out and help. That's where we used to be. We're a hot mess, especially within trafficking. So let's fix our home front. And it needs to be national, it needs to be collaborative, and we need to know each other. I believe that's happening. Whether it's too big.
Speak about it. So if you're out there and you have heard the show, or you're aware of anything, you need to talk about it.
There's a lot of great people doing great things,
and do things.
Sometimes we don't know
donate.
each other.
How can people donate?
Absolutely.
How can people donate?
Yeah, the dreaminstitute.org, the Shore Creek Dream Center, that's the Phoenix Dream Center. These are all people that are doing a great job. I mean, there's a lot of great organizations that are taking care of single moms and
well, we had UMOM on here.
Absolutely.
Do you guys collaborate with UMOM?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The Phoenix Dreams, they really know, because sometimes we get full and, hey, are you guys full? And we need to lean on each other.
We had the CEO of UMOM on.
I was about to say, Dream Center and UMOM have a lot of similarities with helping people. Yeah.
They do. They actually do.
So God bless them for what they do. Thank you. And what's been hard is that based on different government officials that weave into our state, funding gets revoked. That, you know, if you have a pro-life bent to you, you're going to get smacked down hard right now. And I had $500,000 that was signed. Ducey's deaths, it was signed. I had been awarded for our pro-life Dream Center. And because there was 3 or 4 different organizations got all of it. It was flexible money. She took it. She did. It's gone. It went to all things, not life.
That's too bad. But you know what? You have to keep pressing and keep after it, because it's you're gonna prevel.
Listen,
look at what you guys are doing. Dream Institute.
Yep. We won't be put in a corner because we don't get federal funding. We're above that. People who own incredible businesses, who are philanthropic, we are grateful to them. What we want to be is not federally funded, right? Because then we can
do what you want.
100%. We know what we're doing. We're doing it well. So yeah, that's
you're getting things done. You're saving
these women. It's just let
women.
people know who you elect will affect programs that we're basically doing the government's job for them. We're doing a really good job. So why are you dinging us?
I would love to get some of the ladies that or some of these women that have, you know, been
Riel
in the
Decker
program.
would love to come. She's phenomenal.
Let's get her. It'd be incredible. What's her age group? Would you say? Is she like 50?
Oh no, she's still early. She's 30s. I think she's just had a. She had a baby, so she's excited.
She's like 30.
She's so good.
Riel Decker. Okay, so like maybe Riel Decker can bring a couple of her friends that went through this, and
it's it's their story to tell. Really, we try to be very careful because it's not our story, but we serve them and walk alongside. But
no, it's incredible what you're doing.
Awareness is the first step here, and the Dream Center's been around for 30 years, and
it's so generous of Riel Decker to offer up that house to help others.
Well, here's what's great.
That's incredible.
Here she had a need. She had the vision. She didn't have the resources, and she saw that we already have a house, and we had the systems in place. She's very intelligent. Why wouldn't you hand over your keys and say, let's do this together?
I love it.
And we would not be who we are without her. She is.
Oh, wow.
She is the pillar.
So she's instrumental in this whole thing.
She is. She works with us, for us, speaks on behalf of.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's
it's
incredible.
their story. It's their journey. And we're just here to facilitate recovery.
I love that. And is Jeffries in... Jeff?
Federal prison,
How do you say
Texas,
his name?
Warren Jeffs.
Warren Jeffs. Yeah. Is he...
Why are we talking about him?
Well, I mean, I hope...
sack of shit.
Was he killed, or is he...
Well, no, and the problem, here's an interesting thing. Allowed to have freedom of speech even in prison doesn't make sense to me, because he's calling out edicts where children are being kidnapped still. And so that's not cool. Why do you have freedom of speech? Well, it's a lawyer's battle. That's where things get a little sticky and icky. When lawyers can fight for freedom of speech, it should be overridden by what you did. So we have a wonderful, Roger Hooley is an amazing lawyer that we work with in Salt Lake City. He represents our women. He protects and helps find missing children. And we still have missing children, but he is fighting for our moms. But there's a group, a very well-funded group, that are fighting for Warren Jeffs' freedom of speech. I've tried to I have contacted Ken Paxton's amazing AG in Texas.
He should be allowed to talk to anybody.
Right. So, but it's a lawyer's battle, right? And so it's their game. And so I'm trying to understand, but there's got to be a loophole in a way, because if they don't listen, there could be a call to action. We'll call it an edict for a mass murder suicide on a timeline. If people listen to his delusions and they follow through, this will make Waco look like a walk in the park. So then everyone will listen. It's time to start shutting him down.
unbelievable that he still has power behind
There
bars.
you go.
Insane,
There you go.
insane.
And I did not know that. So it's good that we brought it up. So awareness is key. Donate to the Dream Institute. And
well, I was confused because you said that basically the Dream Institute aligns with being pro-life, but even if the Institute had that, like, that wouldn't that just be like a freedom of speech thing? Like, why would that stop your funding? That's so confusing. Or
That's a good
does
question.
Dream Center not allow women to, like, basically go there if they have had an abortion?
Well, I'm sure many women have gone there who've had an abortion.
Yeah, because I would think like victims of trafficking are more likely to have an abortion.
Comes, well, for sure. People make mistakes, but we have a couple centers where they come in and they are pregnant. So many women are told, you need to have an abortion because I need you to make money for me, or this is not a good time. So, and there's the family saying, yeah, this is not a good time. Maybe she wants to keep the baby. Anyone ever think about that?
So you let the women choose.
You let the women
so
choose.
You guys let them choose.
Well, 100%.
Okay.
We're not capturing them, but we're not going to fund and we're not going to hide that they're having an abortion either. And that's also the Health and Human Services mandates. If they get in your program and in your business, they'll make you hide that an underage girl is having an abortion under your watch. The family doesn't know. There's some creepy crud going on. So So yes, people have the freedom to choose. They're going to choose, and they'll have to live with those consequences.
This is an important thing to specify because some people might have heard like, oh, the organization leans being pro-life and think that you guys are not pro-choice, but it sounds like you still support women who have made that choice.
Oh, we're going to love on them and walk them through that decision.
So it's really ridiculous that they're not giving you the funding because of that. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, it's a little too pro-life for them, and we'll say them and quote unquote. 100%. Listen, we all make decisions. That doesn't mean the help isn't there for you, because it's a long journey, and there's a lot of reasons why that happened and regret on the backside. And our services and love and home is available to everyone through that journey. And honestly, if they were to come into our center and they walk out the front door and go get it, that is their decision. We are here to facilitate a journey of hope. We are not going to promote and advocate for.
I like that. I like that approach.
We would
Either
hope
way,
that you wouldn't.
You're right. Exactly.
We're not. We're not in charge of anybody.
But it's the most realistic approach, because when you have somebody that's a victim of trafficking, it doesn't make sense to force them to keep that child. Like, it should be their choice.
Yeah, no one's forcing. No one's forcing.
Well, some of those states down in the South right now are that you have to have the child no matter what, or you break the law. So, like, in what state is it right now? There's a woman who's suing. I think it's in Georgia, but she's being forced to keep the child to term, even though she's probably, like, there's some complication with the pregnancy where she's probably going to die, but they won't let her have the abortion even though she medically needs it. So it's like, it's in the courts right now, but hopefully she doesn't die from that. But that's like one of those situations where, well,
and hopefully the baby lives. I mean, there's two lives at stake here, and we often don't talk about the baby.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know enough about this case, but I know her health is for sure at risk. Like, the doctor basically recommended she had the abortion, but it's not a legal procedure there. So it's one of those things where I am not.
There's two sides to it.
Oh, for sure.
There's two sides to it. And a baby's a baby, and a life is a life. And
and you know,
but I'm also pro-choice, so it's a tough thing.
For sure. And you know, we have post-abortive care programs. So that is a thing that we feel like sometimes the church has not been there in a place of, but we feel like you're judging. You've had 40% of the women sitting in an organization of a church, a congregation, have had an abortion. They're holding that in silence and quiet. They need to know that there is a place for you. We're going to have post-abortive classes and care and conversations. This is a reality. It happens. So if it is because you don't have stability, housing, education, then we're willing to walk alongside of you so that you don't have to make that decision. We're not making anyone's decision for them. But if it's because you don't have ... we can fill that blank.
And that's beautiful.
I love that. That is beautiful.